Tony Khan, he did an interview recently, and he was asked about the idea of being an on-screen character in AEW. And obviously, he's not really been. He's kind of. I think he came out in Dark one time and announced a main event. But he was on this podcast, and he had this to say about whether he was going to be an on-screen character. He said, "I've learned from the pros and the cons, and I think some of the things that went wrong for WCW, in my opinion, were the creative control. They gave creative control to a lot of the wrestlers, and some of the storylines were asinine. Some of the ideas were great, but it definitely felt a very disorganized show. And when they brought someone else in from the WWF to be a writer named Vince Russo, he made it 10 times worse. He took a problem. It's like they had a massive hangnail and he just chopped off the arm. So that was part of the problem. Another major issue for them, in my opinion, was the management. Most wrestling companies that have been really successful over time have had one supreme commander at the top who's like owned it, booked it, done everything. Run the place, run the management, whether it was Vince McMahon for years, organizing everything, Cowboy Bill Watts, Eddie Graham, Fritz Von Erich, and countless others. And so I think that made sense as a business model. And I told Kevin that it's like the strong management WCW didn't have, I can provide. I've done stuff on other wrestling shows that kind of promote AEW and crossover, but that's kind of the line I don't want to cross, because I feel like if you disappear up your own butt when you start writing that way. So what do you make of Big Tony saying he doesn't see himself as an AEW character?
I think that's the right move for him and for AEW. He's obviously made appearances for Impact. He was on the Against All Odds episode, and he and Scott D'Amore decided that the Moose versus Kenny Omega match for the Impact World title would take place at Daly's Place. So he was there. I thought he did all right. I mean, you're aware that he's made previous appearances with Tony Schiavone and Jerry Lynn and others, and filmed adverts. I don't think I've seen a lot worse people on TV. I think Dixie was a lot worse when she first started, although towards the end, certainly when she turned heel, or after she turned heel, she wasn't a bad on-screen character, Dixie. Dixie Carter, let's give her credit for that. You know, we don't give her credit for much else, but I think she's decent as a heel character. So I think it's the right move for Tony, not to be part of the AEW on-screen process as a character. I don't think he's really cut out for it. Wouldn't mind him making an occasional appearance, almost like in a Jack Tunney role. You remember Jack Tunney, don't you, Kenny?
Of course I do. Or like a Linda McMahon type role, you know, like, but then, I mean, did you ever hear that, or see or hear the thing that he did on Dark, like a few months ago? And he basically came out and made Kenny Omega, it made a match for a Dynamite show. And when he did it, he the way that he sort of said it was he was like, Kenny Omega, I'm gonna make you wrestle on Dynamite. And like the way that he did it just did not come across as a great, you know, owner type character. And maybe he's like he seems to have learned from that.
You need to be like a dignitary, don't you? That to me is the role he should have. As someone who's got a lot of dignity and prestige. Yeah,
but then when he went to Impact, he has got better. He's got better at being, because I've met him in person and been in media scrums with him. He's a very nice guy. He's very down to earth. He's very approachable, but he's just not a big TV character. He is better than Dixie. I'll give you that. I mean, I don't think we're going to see Cody Rhodes quitting the company in 2 years and Tony Khan humping his leg on the way out, begging him to stay, which is still one of the. You know, we thought Hogan had lost his political power, but even in 2014, still had it. Still,
I mean, he was still in demand. You know, with Dixie, with no one else in the company or on planet Earth, but with Dixie.
But yeah, I think if Tony Khan comes out and does the odd kind of, you know, big match announcement or whatever, because they do reference him on the show. They do say, Excalibur will say, "Oh, Tony Khan's just made it official that this match is going to take place." So I think if he does stuff like that, that's a good role for him. But I think the problem if he becomes an on-screen character is that he will, rightly or wrongly, he will be compared to Vince McMahon, who is maybe the greatest heel of all time. So you can't be, if you can't be number one or number two, don't try. It's just not worth it, especially when you've got a company to run.